Okay, cool. So, hey, thanks for your time. So we're here to talk about. You're the first ChuckECheese employee I've ever talked to, or like former employee. So I used to go there as a kid all the time, and I went there recently with
Okay.
my family, and it was like
Uh-huh.
I can't go by myself, right? So I have to go with somebody in the family that's under 10 years old. So fortunately, I have that now. And one of the things I
Yeah.
noticed was that Dave and Buster's is the adult themed Chuck E. Cheese, and it's super expensive. And
Yeah.
it's like 2 to 5 times as expensive per game, and a lot of the games are kind of the same. I mean, they have more dynamic games like VR and stuff, but in AR, but Chuck E.
Yeah.
Cheese is pretty cheap to the point where I got like the expansion amount that you can get for the the card, and I
Okay.
literally couldn't use it. I was like breaking a sweat trying to use all the points. And then food isn't that expensive either, and then you get like unlimited refills. So then I was like all caffeinated up, and so I had a good time there as a customer. What was your experience as an employee, and what time frame did you work there?
Okay. I was back there in the like mid 2000s. Let's see here. Like, so let's see about 2015, 2016.
Okay,
For like 4 or 5 years. I was like it was the 2000s. It was after 2011. I want to say it was like 14 to like, oh gosh, maybe 12 to like 14 or 15 because after I worked at Chuck E. Cheese, I worked at the Hampton Inn.
oh yeah, yeah, I
So
saw the
yeah, because
flag.
how I what's that?
I saw the flag in your pot in your live stream, like the Hampton Inn flag. It was in
Yeah,
your
yes. I was actually able to my how I got this job was a friend of mine went to school with the general manager.
Okay.
His name is Tim. I'm not going to give his like last name or whatever, but his name is Tim. And so I was looking for work, and he said, "Hey, I'll talk to my friend Tim." And so he talked to him, and I found out he was the general manager. So I interviewed with him and everything, and I just basically told him I love video games and different things like that, and how I went to Chuck E. Cheese as a kid.
Yeah, like
And
all of us
so
did.
I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, so I got the job, and it was like a part-time job, but I needed benefits.
Yeah.
So I was like the only like full-time non-manager there
Okay.
because it was like I had to work a lot of hours. It's like I got cut hours, I had to make up hours. It was weird. Some days, some weeks I worked like close to 50 hours in the week, and then some weeks I worked like 20 hours.
Okay, so
So it's like I
they
had to average.
so they were more concerned with
What's
like
that?
they were more concerned with their business schedule than like per se your interest as a career.
Yeah, and I thought about doing it as a career, like because the only way you can get guaranteed hours is by being in management.
Okay.
I figured if I worked my way up and everything, maybe I could get into like a management role because they like to promote from within.
Yeah.
So that is definitely true with that. And let's see here. So they like to do that, and I got hired as the game room attendant, which basically meant I got to test the games to make sure they were working. You see, they don't even use coins anymore; they use cards or whatever.
Okay.
So I learned how to because they have like a game room manager. They have different managers. There was a kitchen manager, game room manager, the general manager, and I think there was like 3 or 4 managers. Some were part time, strange enough. So
Well, I would if I worked in the
and
kitchen, if I was the kitchen manager, I'd weigh like 1,000 pounds because I their pizza's actually pretty good. So
yeah, I liked it. And the kitchen manager was she's actually the GM now because
okay.
the guy who hired me he has a lot of like health problems and stuff. So
Yeah.
he had to walk away from it too. I had to walk away because of it just was I'm an older I was older and I was like doing a real wear and tear on my body, so I had to walk away unfortunately.
Well,
But yeah,
you were there for a
the
while.
kitchen.
You were there for a while, and what
Yeah.
so did you fix the machines? Were you kind of like, you know, in Wreck-It Ralph? Remember Mr. Litwack? It was like Litwack's Family Fun Center, and I forget his name, but the guy that played Al in Married with Children was the voice of Mr. Litwack, and he basically would walk around with like the quarter dispenser. Were you kind of like that, or were you like fixing the tickets, or were you basically like the maintenance guy, or what kind of stuff did you do?
Well, I wasn't, like I said, I wasn't the game room manager. I didn't know how to do the technical stuff, but I knew how to fix like ticket jams,
Yeah.
coin jams. I had to balance the skee ball because kids would take all the skee balls. We didn't have a ball pit or anything.
Those
We
little
had,
rats.
we had sky tubes.
I had friends that would climb up and throw the ball into the highest points, and then they would get kicked out. Sorry.
Yeah, so it's like, oh, they would get like unbalanced. I had to fix it a lot because people would put coins in, believe it or not.
Yeah.
And no balls would come out. They wouldn't look to see that there were balls in there. So I'm like, I had to give them coins. So I always walked around like I had a lot of change on me, and I wore like the keys. It was like a big hunking thing of keys.
Yeah.
I wore around my neck. So and then I would like clean the machines too, actually. So
Okay.
not only did I like fix them, but this wasn't until like everybody left. That's when you did cleaning. So I could be there, like, let's say the place closed at 9. I could be there till like 10:30 because everybody had to work as a team. You got to understand, I was older. I worked with mostly kids. I was old enough to be these kids' like dad
Yeah.
or uncle or
Well,
whatever.
unfortunately,
Yeah.
Matt, I'm in that boat too. I had a I had a coworker when I lived in Ohio. Actually, when I lived in Ohio near Columbus. You're out of like northeast Ohio. And now you're down at the beach.
Yeah,
But
like I'm like near Akron.
yeah, so when I was in Columbus, I had a friend that, well, he was like more of a coworker and acquaintance, but the guy was older than I was, and I said, "So what'd you do over the weekend?" And he had a fiance, or I think a spouse at the time, and he said, "Oh, we went to ChuckECheese," and he didn't have any kids. And so I just went, you know what? I'm not going to ask any more questions. Whatever you want to do. But no, that's interesting with the skee ball because I can see kids like front loading one of the machines, and then you literally have like one machine with like 20 skee balls, and then one that doesn't have any, right?
Yeah. So it's like I had to do that, Andy, and it's like, oh, there's more. Oh, it gets better. So not only I had to make sure, I also had to run pizza
Yeah.
to tables. They had like these like carousels like with numbers on them. So
Yeah.
you would say like your receipt would say like number 5 or whatever. So I looked for number 5. Like it's really like a pain when it's like really busy, and it's like you literally have food in your hand. Oh, my game's not working. I need you to fix my game now.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay. It's like, I'll be there in a second. You have to be as nice as can be. And it's like, yeah, you had interesting people to deal with and everything.
Oh, like anything,
so,
yeah. Yeah.
And on top of that, I had to go into the back room and dress up as ChuckECheese.
Oh, you did the mouse?
And yes.
Oh.
Yes. Oh gosh. Yeah, I did a lot of things. I was like a jack of many trades.
Okay.
I didn't work back in the kitchen. I didn't make the pizzas. I didn't run a cash register. Helped a little bit with the salad bar. I helped with it at the ticket counter.
Yeah.
Like, hey, let's see how many tickets you have. So, yeah, you fit it into a machine, and it's like, and then they would give you like a slip, and then you had a calculator. It's like this costs this costs this. So, okay, so I would like subtract whatever. And then it's like, okay, you have this much left. And then, of course, I would always round up a bit because I was a nice guy. And not everybody did that. But
so you were like,
I would round up.
So you were basically the guy that if you fix something, you would be like, here you go. And you give them another token if something went wrong. So you were like the nice, okay.
And also, I when I first started, when I first started my day, I have to go through and each of the machines and make sure they're working. So I would test it. I would get there before it got busy. And I was like, okay, so I go to each one. Okay, this is working. This is working. And the biggest pain in the butt was the photo ride. Oh gosh, trying to change that photo.
Because you have you've got the print you've got like the print thing, and it's specific, and I know just from loading my own printer, it's a pain in the neck. So I can only imagine if it's a specific, like you can't go to Staples and get the proper material. So like if you were out of stock, you're like, oh no, this machine's down, it's out of order, right? So, and then not only that, if there's any kind of technical issue, I've only seen that there. I've never seen it anywhere else.
Yeah, and also I had to make sure the tickets are filled because unless you see, I was good at it, but you're depending on the person who worked before you to do their job.
Yeah.
If they don't do your job, it's like I got to do your job. I got to do this. It's really frustrating.
Yeah.
And then there was like the sky tubes, which I had to get up there and say, kids would have an accident. Like some kid peed in this. It was worse than that too. Yeah, let's just say number 1 and number 2.
So
take care of number 2 already.
So the Sky Tube, kind of like the McDonald's play place. So the one that we went to recently didn't have that. But I will say that somebody in one of the younger members of my family, they may have had an accident. It was only one of 2, and it was I didn't notice until it was too late. And of course, the carpet, I don't know what's in the carpet, but it sucked it up real fast. And then I think I mentioned it to an attendee, and then they were busy, and then they were like, you know what, we'll get to it later. But yeah, that happens when kids are around, And then plus you get you get the pizza grease all over the game controls too. So like you'll play one of the games and it's just nasty because there's pizza.
Yeah, so it's like everything. I had to dance. Like they had these half-hour dance breaks. I had to do the birthday parties. Like I didn't have to do it all the time, but it's like I would go in and put the suit on, and then it's like when I was done with it, I'd do a walk around.
Yeah.
Just high five and everything, and it's like, yeah, and I would see like the games. Of course, the games break down as soon as you're walking around, and then people were complaining, "Where's this? Where's that?" And it's like somebody was supposed to watch the game room. Well, I'm in the suit and everything, but that didn't always happen.
So it sounds like. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I'm sorry. You had walkie-talkies and everything to call people and. I got a story for you. I got a good story for you.
Well, that's a bigger location. The one we went to was in a mini mall, over by a Total Wines actually. So like I made a break and I went over to the Total Wines and like got a nice hard ale. And I don't know if that was like strategic placement by the mall owner, but it worked for me. Anyway, continue. I'm sorry.
Oh, that's okay. That's okay. It's kind of a funny story. Now, there was a guy who came in. He was drunk. This was during the daytime now.
Did he have any kids?
This wasn't the weekend crowd. This was during the daytime. The guy, now they do sell alcohol there. Like they have like some wine.
Yeah.
They do sell beer, but of course they're supposed to watch how much you do or whatever. But the guy came in with his son. He was drunk. He's supposed to. I also would do kid check, which means you stamp the hand and you have to read it and everything. So I was doing kid check like during the daytime. The place was open like in the morning to like night. So I liked working morning shift actually. So I did that when I could. So when I did that, I did kid check because they weren't really too busy in the daytime. It was like a business base. Like that's how you got your hours. Winter time was like the best time because you got lots of hours with summertime and stuff. And it's like,
because more people are going outside during the summer.
Yeah, but here's the thing. The guy comes in. He's talking to my manager at the, like we order food and stuff. And I don't know what exactly he said. Next thing you know, the drunk guy is reaching across the counter and trying to choke my manager.
Interesting.
I kid you not. He's trying to choke him. Now, the guy, I didn't give you the guy's backstory. He's a former police officer. Oh,
the drunk guy?
No.
Oh, your manager. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So he was. That's another story. I didn't like the guy. He was a jerk to me. So.
Oh, the manager.
That's another. That's another.
Well, have you ever seen Matt? Have you ever seen Zootopia?
Yes.
Do you remember Chief Bogo? He's like the king of jerks. So I'm not trying to throw zingers at cops, but. Typically they're not like touchy-feely. They're not like, so they're kind of we had one that lived up the street. He retired. He was like a sergeant. They live lake house now, but he didn't get like to the lieutenant or captain or chief level because he just didn't want to promote that, or I don't know if something happened, but essentially he was really nice, but if you ever put him in like non-nurturing mode, it was a little bit alarming. So one time my brother was quite a bit younger than me, and I had to pick him up at school, and then his daughter was in the carpool, and she was locked out of the house, and he worked nights, and so I was like pulling the window up, and then he went into like auto cop pilot, and he thought I was robbing his house. And so then it was horrifying. So then I say, oh, whoa, I'm just trying to, but yeah, they're not like counselors, they're not psychologists, they're basically just like, this is what it said. If you were like, so I can almost picture your experience there. You know what I mean? It probably was like, oh, I'm sick, and it's like, really, are you really sick? Because like they're tough, almost like military. They want to just work through anything.
Yeah, so it's like he didn't fight back or anything. And before I move on, this is just recording audio, right?
Yeah. So I had some technical issues with the screen grabs.
Okay, because I just kind of saw my name pop up here, so it's like,
I would
if this is going on YouTube, like
I would censor that out. Yeah. So what I would do is I would put like a censored, and then I can add like a clown face too if you want. No, I'm just kidding.
No, that's okay. Just want to make sure people don't see my real name.
Matt, you know what I could do? I could make your face like the dad dinosaur from that show, The Dinosaurs, that sitcom. If you want to. The one
I used to love that show.
The one where he's like, back in the day, dinosaurs used to just eat their young and live in the woods, and now we have family. Anyway. No, so what did you like working at Toys R Us, or did you find it like exhausting after a while? Did you like it at first, and then after a while you're just like, any job, it's kind of a grind?
Oh, you mean ChuckECheese? You just said Toys R Us.
Oh, I'm sorry, ChuckECheese.
That's okay. I had a friend who worked at Toys R Us. I can tell you funny stories about that.
I put them both in the same category. They're nostalgic. But anyway, sorry. Yes, ChuckECheese.
It's okay. I know what you're saying. So anyhow, to finish that one story, yeah, I thought the cop was gonna like deck the guy.
Yeah.
Like the former cop manager, but no, he just kind of stood there. Let him do it, and the dude actually backed off. I thought he was going to deck him, but he didn't.
Yeah.
And he's asking me to try to stop the guy as he's calling the cops. So I'm like, dummy me, I actually stand in front of him. I'm like, hey, sir, I'm going to have to ask you to stay here. He just kind of laughs at me. I thought the guy was going to punch me.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh, it's okay. I'm just going to step out of the way. So I let him leave with his kid, and they caught him in the plaza. So
yikes.
Yeah.
Well, he sounds like a real model American there. That guy.
Yeah, well, you'd be surprised. There were, I know it's kind of legal, but not really. There was also these people, let's just say, let their kids come in and play. They went out to their car and they just started smoking marijuana.
Oh, well, see, this is the kind of stuff. This is like the dark truth behind the whimsical, nostalgic stories and elements that we had from our childhood. Because, ChuckECheese, if I'm not mistaken, it opened in the 70s. Yeah. I can totally see people hawking on pizza, stealing food, stealing prizes, doing what you said. Because you've got a lot of kids working there. And I'm at the age now where if I see like a pack of teenage to early 20s kids like sitting there with their bikes, I'm like, what are those guys up to? And so mini mall plazas and kids, it's like you almost have to have a neighborhood watch because they're up to something, right? But anyway.
Yeah, kids would steal stuff, and my general manager told me one time he caught a bunch of kids making out back in the Chucky room.
Jeez.
Yeah, that's happened too.
So then he's like,
just about everything.
So he's like, clean up in Chucky room. Matt, clean up in Chucky room. So did you like working there at first, and then did it kind of burn you out?
Yeah, it just took a toll on my body with all the dancing and having to put that Chucky suit on quick. Yeah, I wore the old suit and I wore the new suit.
Okay.
The old suit was good because some kid actually drilled me in the low blowed me one time. Yeah, I kid you not. I got a low blow one time.
I used to punch mascots all the time when I was a kid. Well, so it's almost a rite of passage. So was this the old 1970s like creepy Chucky suit, or was this the?
No,
Okay.
this was like the the 90s, early 2000s.
Oh, and then they had the later one.
Yeah, and then the
Okay.
newest one has like very little padding at all. So I feel sorry for
Yeah.
it. Now, my understanding, they don't even have like the animatronics anymore in a lot of the
Well, how did the suit smell? Did they clean it?
uh yes and no.
Okay.
I would clean it, but not everybody did. And it was just I'm surprised I didn't get colds all the time. Let's just put it that way.
So I did I dressed up as a mascot once for a local newspaper, like it was a paid gig, and I so it was kind of interesting because it was a hot summer day. The suit, I think they cleaned it, but what I had to do was I literally they were like basically wear swim trunks, something, don't wear anything else because you're going to die. And
Yeah,
so you're walking around in a public park, and you have literally like just you're walking around almost in your skivvies, and you have this big suit on, and then you're just like it's weird. It's kind of, and it's funny because there are people who do this all the time, like they're professional mascots, and they'll have like suits, and you can have call them, and they have a business, and
yeah,
it's small enough that they may just do it themselves, but it's kind of a small community. People kind of like clowning. I'm sure clowning is the same. It's like, oh,
sure.
so and so has children parties, and I'm sure it's like a part time thing. But yeah, Mascot Experience. You have a lot more than I do. I just had that small experience, but it was eye opening because I really do respect like people at Disney. How hot is it in Florida? You could die. I bet they have like fans in there and everything.
They do. They wear cooling vests and different things. Same thing like if you go to like conventions where people dress up as, but let's just say mascots. The furry cons
Oh yeah. Oh gee.
and different things. They wear like cooling vests, and I've been to a few. They're fun.
The furry cons. That's a closed community. I had illustrated a couple of characters, and they were like two. When you watch movies like Goofy movie or a show like that doesn't constitute as a furry. They have very specific. I don't know really what constitutes a furry because if you have something that looks too much like a human, they're like that's not a furry. But anyway, they're big on the suits and the
True.
designing their own characters and all that kind of stuff, and their
But
wikis.
you'll see like knockoff.
Yeah.
I saw knockoffs of like the SWAT cats.
Oh yeah,
And
yeah. That was a good
like
show.
Zootopia. I saw Zootopia. People dress up as Zootopia creatures. And
Yeah.
yeah, you'll see it. You won't see it a lot. I always joked and said I'd like to go to one of those furry cons and dress up as Bosk.
Oh, Bosk. Which one's Bosk?
He's the bounty hunter that looks reptilian. He wears like a flight suit.
Oh, is that in Star Wars?
Yes.
Oh, the Bosk is the one that's in Empire Strikes Back.
Yes.
Yeah, and he's
Bosk the bounty hunter.
and he's
Yes.
starting he was starting beef with one of the Imperial officers.
Yes.
And then he's
That's
like,
Bosk.
and then yeah, and then he says, "Bounty hunters, we don't need their scum." I remember that now. Okay, yeah, and
Yeah.
he's not really in the old movies, and then Disney kind of pushed the canon a little bit more, especially for the animated stuff.
Yeah, you can play as them a lot in like the like Star Wars Battlefront 1, Battlefront 2.
Yeah, yeah, they're apparently pretty violent. Their race. Well, so what? We could go to the next segment. What did you find like? What was your favorite thing about working at ChuckECheese, and then what was like your least favorite? I know you've covered both, but just to like,
Okay. The favorite was like being able to like play the video games. I love
Yeah.
video games. So
yeah, me too.
I got to play the video games, and it was really cool to walk around dressed as Chucky. And
Yeah.
I got to go to schools. I got to get out and like leave the restaurant. Leave the restaurant because they did fundraisers.
Okay.
And I got to go to schools. I got to go to a school where I volunteered when I was in high school,
Yeah.
and different local schools near where I went to school and everything. So that was really cool.
Cool. That's great. And And so you're born and raised like in Ohio, Midwest.
Well,
Oh no, you said you
technically,
said you lived in PA for a while. That's right.
I'm from Pennsylvania. I was born in a small town called Cecil.
Okay.
I grew up there, and I lived outskirts of Pittsburgh for a couple of years. I moved to Ohio in 1991.
Okay.
So I was born in 76 and moved to Ohio in 91. So yeah, I
Okay.
spent my childhood pretty much in Pennsylvania, and from then on, from 91 on, since I've been in Ohio, Northeast Ohio.
And now you're in the deep South, beach country.
Yeah, I've been in South Carolina. Today marks exactly a month, and now I'm going to be down here at least 2 months.
Good for you. I'm jealous.
At least 2 months. I don't know when I'm going back to Ohio. I'm seriously considering living down here full time. I just got to work on some things.
Well, nobody would blame you because so I'm not sure exactly where your family is, but I went down there last year for vacation, and it was during COVID, and we were careful, and we got catfished by the resort because when you go to the south area, there's all those resorts where the building is like almost closed, or they've got a couple closed.
What part were you in?
We were off of the South Strip, which was there's a couple. I can't remember the exact street, but it was past the Ferris.
Myrtle Beach.
Yes, yeah.
That's where I'm at. I'm in Myrtle Beach.
So we were we went to the southern area where the buildings were older, and there was a golf course
South Myrtle.
Yeah, there was a South Myrtle, exactly. There was a golf course off to the right, and then if you go south, like real far south, there was a really beautiful planned community that was down there. And
yes,
and up where I was, they had a couple of retirement neighborhoods, and people would like.
I know exactly where you're at.
Yeah, it was really nice because they would just go across the street, be right on the water, and then my grandpa is almost 90, and he lives out in frigid Wisconsin, and
okay.
I saw a guy that had to have been a couple of years older than him, and he was down there, and he had a golf cart, he had his fishing rod, he was talking to his friends. And I said, this would be a great place to actually, make a move. So I don't know. I applaud you if you get to move down there. That's really neat.
Yeah. I think you're describing the Grand Dunes. I'm not sure.
That actually sounds right. Yeah, I think you're right.
Beautiful. Oh my gosh, my brother does a lot of work in there. Beautiful homes. Oh my gosh. It's like you have to go through a gate and everything.
Yeah.
It's a gated.
And there's a shopping center.
Where I'm at right now.
There's like a shopping center outside of it, right? So you go over there and they have like an ice cream shop, Italian restaurant. It's really nice.
Oh gosh, I know exactly where you're at. Broadway at the beach is very nice too.
Yeah. We were
hopefully, knock on wood, I'm going to be going there tomorrow to see my friend Al Ernst, who's up for comedy. So
nice.
I'm hopefully, that's work. There's some things going on down here right now, which I'll tell you off camera. But
oh, sure.
Yeah. So yeah, it's like, yeah. So hopefully, knock on wood, I'll get to see him do some comedy.
That's good.
So hopefully, I've known him for some years, and I've done some videos on him on Rocky Matt Tragan YouTube channel, and also some stuff on Matty's Great Adventure. So just so everybody knows, I do have 2 YouTube channels. The Rocky Matt Tragan, for the most part, is just going to be used for live streams. And Matty's Great Adventures is where I'm doing all the videotaping. I've put a lot of Myrtle Beach touristy kind of stuff on Matty's Great Adventures since I've been down here. And also, of course, TJ the cat, Oreo the rabbit, and Daisy the Springer Spaniel. So the one who was chewing up on the on her blanket out here. I had to send her inside because she likes to chew stuff if she can get a hold of it. So.
Yeah. No, it's funny. Dogs and their aggression sometimes, they're like, well, I'm trained, but I'm going to chew this up. So, when you think of negative things that you experienced while at ChuckECheese, what were the top 3? What were the top 3 things?
I guess that manager who I was telling you about, I had a hard time. Luckily, he quit before I left.
Oh, he quit?
He quit. Here's the sad part. I got so stressed out. I had a really bad panic attack. I had to be taken away to an ambulance.
Okay.
So yeah, that's the serious thing that happened. That's the worst thing that I had a hard time breathing. Yeah,
Yeah.
literally had to be taken from the restaurant to the emergency room, sadly. But I was okay. I just
Well, that's
they
good.
whatever they had to. But yeah, I have to. So yeah, whatever jobs I do, it has to be like kind of low in stress
Mm-hmm.
because of stuff like that. So yeah, so yeah, that was a bad part. It's just dealing with some of the people that would
Yeah.
come in there
Well, you
and
wouldn't
having to like
you
do
wouldn't
this and that. I had to clean the games too. That was a pain.
you wouldn't think
Like for
that
like
it's funny because you look at arcades and whatnot, you wouldn't think that it'd be stressful, but there's a lot of moving parts, and especially if you've got rush periods, and you've got, like you said, you got a lot of parties, and the other thing is, it's a lot of transactions that aren't necessarily high dollar values. So like all the little tokens, people using their cards. Sometimes now, since they have the cards, they don't even need to
yeah.
go in there and spend more money. They may take like 3 months to use all of their card. They may just go in it a little bit, and it's free to get in. So yeah, no, that's interesting. What about the what about going back? Would you ever go back, or are you kind of just like, I'm done with that? I wouldn't want
No,
to.
I
Okay.
thought about it at one time, but I'm just going through some stuff right now.
Yeah.
It's just yeah. So yeah. So no, because like I said, it's a job for it's a young man's game. It's no pun intended. It's a young man's game. It's just
Sure.
there's a reason why you don't see older folks working at ChuckECheese. Now, I'm not saying that you might not see some elderly folks doing like whatever simple jobs like kid shack or whatever, or salad bar,
Yeah.
but it's very rare. Like I said, when I was there, the only person older than me was the general manager, and not by much. He was like just a few years older than me. I was like and I was the same age as the game room manager. So, yeah, like I said, the three of us were like the only older folks who were there. Like I said, it was a young man's game, but it's okay. The kids treated me with respect and everything, so
Did
it was.
did you is the structure, like the work structure at Chuck E. Cheese, is it like your GM, for the store, and then do you have like district managers, so like managers that kind of manage several
Oh
stores?
yeah, oh
Okay.
gosh, yeah. The district manager, he was a piece of work. The guy reminded me, he looked like Emperor Palpatine. He did. I kid you not. He looked like the guy who I'm trying to remember his name. The guy who plays Chief Palpatine
Oh yeah.
in the
Well, it's
movies.
the same
Ian
guy
McDermott.
in the
Ian
70s until
McDermott. He
now.
looks like him,
Yeah.
but he just kind of acted like him too. He was like when he was coming to town, like he was based out of Youngstown, Ohio.
Okay.
So he didn't really get to the part of Ohio often, but when he did, it's like that's when I would get called in because I was a hard worker. So
Yeah.
my boss would call me, and it's like that's another thing. It's like you always wanted to make sure you had a phone with texting and everything because they would text you and hey, can you come in like at a moment's notice? So it's
Yeah.
kind of like on call too, and I had to wear a uniform. It's not like I could just come in like my shorts and t-shirt
Yeah.
or like I had to wear like a red polo or like a navy polo or a black polo and khaki pants.
So you needed to have that thing ready, washed, and ready to go at any
Yeah,
point.
and white shoes, white tennis shoes, but they kind of I had to wear braces on my
Well,
legs. So this is like when I was wearing braces. So I kind of got away with wearing non-white tennis shoes because of my condition of my legs.
they that sounds a lot like when I worked. This was in late high school. I worked at a retirement community, and they would do the same thing. They would call you in, and it was really that job in particular was really low pay, and you worked in like a fairly elderly formal dining setting, so there were no tips at all. You had to bring the meals out in a particular order, and if you messed it up, they wouldn't tell you. Sometimes they would complain, but then sometimes you just get the person to start eating because they were, some of them were fairly elderly. They're maybe dementia, and they would just start eating, and then one person would notice after the meals were already like destroyed and they're eating half of it, and then you would get in trouble. And so I did that for a summer. You did a pretty good job. You were there for 5-6 years. I did it for a summer, and then one of my supervisors was like, he's not coming back. And I went, you're darn right. But
I call it my tour of duty, Andy. I call it my tour of duty.
Well, they had the uniforms, and the guy that set me up with the job, he did the indoctrination, and then he didn't go back the second day, and I was like, you jerk, you lined me up with this job and you quit. Yeah. But yeah, it's service industry stuff is tough, and frankly, it kind of reminds me of going back to Disney. It's a lot of fun to be there, but I bet it's not very easy to actually work there, especially if you have like a lot of bills. And
I've heard stories like I said, I love Disney. I've been there many times, and and especially like during the pandemic, they treat a lot of their people like crap.
Yeah,
a real shame.
Yeah, they require more people or less people to do more. They furlough people, and then they're basically like, hey, you need to come back, or do you want to come back? And then, the person's like, well, why? You let me go. There's a guy on YouTube, I forget his channel, but he was a singer, and I think they get paid more like the creative people, but he was a singer, dancer. He did shows, and then he was furloughed, and he started a YouTube, and he's doing really well. I mean, he started it recently, and he does like food and cooking, and they asked him to come back, and he said no. And it's like, well, no kidding. I mean, you get like 500,000 views on all of your channel episodes. Like, I wouldn't go back either.
Yeah, I don't blame him.
Yeah. Well, good. Well, no, thanks for your time. Do you have any last thoughts on ChuckECheese that you'd like to share?
Well, it's just, I'm not trying to bash the company. If you're like starting out,
I love the way you started that.
I mean, you're a kid in that. If you're like a kid in high school.
Yeah.
You're looking for like your first job.
Yeah.
I said, work at ChuckECheese. I mean, I wouldn't recommend it if you're older like myself.
Yeah.
Like I said, I needed a job. So it's like, hey, it was an opportunity. I went to ChuckECheese since I was a kid.
Yeah.
And everything. So it's like, I need a job. And it was fun. It's just really hard on my body and everything. So it was like hard on my mind, hard on my nerves, hard on my bodies because of the uncertainty of the hours and everything. But if it's like you're like a kid or whatever looking for like your first job, I say definitely do it. But if you're like someone seasoned and you're looking for like guaranteed hours and guaranteed work, then no, don't do it.
Okay. No, that's great. No, this is good. Well, thanks. I'll put a disclaimer for your channel. Thanks for listing that in there. And then this is great. This is like kind of a behind the scenes. I don't know if I told you this, but I've got a interview with. Did you ever have those Ninja Turtle toys? Like back in the 80s?
Yes.
So I got an interview with the person. More to come. The person that produced those. He's related.
Oh, wow, that's cool.
He's not the guy that started the company, but he's related to him directly, and so that is too cool. So Instagram is really, really neat. But this is like first of maybe a series. I don't think it's going to be that many episodes all at once, but it's fun to talk, and then about a certain subject. I'm excited because this is kind of bringing it's pulling back the curtain on things that people remember, but they may not know much about. And so you have personal experience there. So that's really cool. I appreciate your time on that, Matt. And
my pleasure. My pleasure, Andy.
Yeah. And enjoy South Carolina. Let me know how it goes down there. I like the pictures.
Absolutely. I try to send you pics whenever I have interesting. And like I said, most of the stuff I just put on Matty's Great Adventures, unless it has like pictures of like video of like my family and stuff. Like they don't want to be on camera like my brother and sister-in-law. And well, you've seen my nieces, my oldest, my middle one, and the youngest one have already shown up, but the oldest one, so it's like, they're on my Instagram and everything, all three of them.
Yeah.
So.
Well, so
I'll let you know privately who they are.
So question, is your stepdad, is he wearing ties to the beach, or does he like dress down a little bit,
Well, he'll actually wear like a short sleeve dress shirt. He has worn a tie. They're in Ohio now, but he didn't even go down to the beach.
Okay.
He can't really tan.
Yeah.
He burns easy, so he stayed. He didn't really go down to the water and stuff.
Yeah.
The rest of us did, but he was fine. And we had met him for lunch, and then Mom would be up there and just just kind of sitting with him and stuff. But he was fine. He would just sit there and read and stuff. But
Oh,
he was
good.
fine. We took pictures with him.
Good, and that was a
I
good.
like that one I sent you.
That was a good natured little jest there. I had a friend. We went to Virginia Beach, and his family used to go stay on like right on. You know how the hotels are right on the water there.
Yes.
So his dad. We would go to the beach, and his mom would come down. So she was Portuguese, and so she was all about the beach and like tans and everything. And then his dad would come down like with collared shirt, belt, the slacks, and then like the boat shoes, like almost like he was going to church. And then he would walk on the edge because he wasn't really, he just liked to look at the water. So and they'd always get like a balcony vantage point there. But no, this is great. Well, I'm glad you're enjoying it. I'm gonna I'll probably post this in the next week or so. I'll let you know.
Okay.
But thanks.
That's cool.
Yeah, thanks for your time. This is really actually fun and helpful.
My pleasure. My pleasure. Before you go, I want to let you know I actually have a Portuguese soccer jersey.
Nice. Okay. Cool.
And Brazil. I got a Brazilian one. I got a Portuguese one. They're really good for like down in Florida.
Yeah.
When you're in that heat and everything, they breathe well. So
I
just started wearing them when I go down there.
Are you now? Are you planning on going down to Florida since you're a little bit closer, or are you gonna just stay in South Carolina?
Not right now. I gotta work on my financial situation first.
Well,
before I even consider going down to Florida.
Yeah. Well, so honestly, where you are, it gets baking hot anyway. You go outside and it's just like you're in the shade, but the second you step out there, it's like oppressive. So
yeah, absolutely.
Well, good stuff. Well, hey, you have a good rest of your day. Thanks so much for your time.
You too. Good talking with you. Buddy.
Yeah, it's good talking with you too.
All right.
All right. I'll see you later, buddy.
Sounds good. I'll see ya. I hope your family's doing well.
Yeah, you too.
I'll see ya.